These principles don't change.
Right.
Stand firm, stay close to Christ. Don't pray the demon out. Don't worry about that. Trust Christ.
Yeah.
Lean on his word.
This is Ask Dr. E, where Dr. Michael Easley answers your biblical or theological questions in 10 minutes or less. Today's question is a voicemail, and Dad, as you know, that's
We
my
love
favorite
voicemails,
kind.
yeah.
And if you call in and leave a message, I can pretty much 99% guarantee that we will answer your question.
That's a good tease.
This is how you get straight to the top of the queue. Folks know that who text an email, Faith or I will respond and say, we got your question, it's been added to the queue. Yeah, but I mean, the queue is long, folks. It's long. So if you want to get pushed to the top, you just leave us a voicemail. All right, we're going to listen to Austin.
Shameless.
Yeah, don't care. All right, here we go.
Hey, Hannah. Hey, Dr. E. This is Hannah's neighbor, Austin. I was calling, first-time caller, long-time listener. I was calling with a question for Dr. E regarding spiritual warfare. I read not too long ago Daniel 10, and some wild things happen in Daniel 10 that I would love your thoughts on. So Daniel's fasting for 3 weeks, and he's mourning, and then he's finally met by an angel who said he was on his way to answer his prayer, but was delayed for 21 days by the spirit prince of Persia. He tells Daniel he left Michael, the archangel, there to fight the prince of Persia while he's here answering our prayer. And for me, I was just curious about what this says about spiritual warfare, but more specifically, the idea that God sent an angel and that prayer seemed to be delayed and being answered by a demonic prince of Persia. It also references having to go back and then have to fight the prince of Greece, spirit prince of Greece. So I'd be curious about what your thoughts are. What can we take away from this? How can we apply this to our life today? Just in general, I'll give you 11 minutes. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, and always enjoy listening to the podcast. See you.
Well,
Wow.
his question took a minute.
That was so gracious. 11 minutes. Thank you, Austin. I'll read it. So we're in Daniel 10, verse, what would we say, 12? Start there.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Let's talk about spiritual warfare first.
Okay.
Let's define that.
All right.
So, because there's a lot of opinions on what spiritual warfare
Okay.
is and isn't. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. And some will differentiate that like between carnality and faithfulness, belief and unbelief, cosmic warfare, and so forth and so on. So when we talk about this broad stroke spiritual warfare, so and we'll hear that more today with people talking about we're in a spiritual battle right now.
Yeah.
So I just want to differentiate that a little bit because he does ask about application and how we understand this.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think it's just important to lay that out. And these things that Paul mentions, powers, world forces of darkness, spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places, they're all unseen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just leave that there, and then,
Right.
you can jump into the passage.
And what I'll say about that, we've said this, I feel like, ad nauseum on so many episodes, but we have some information about spiritual warfare, angels and demons, but not a ton.
Right.
But I mean, I love that verse with this passage because
Yes.
it's like, this is it.
Bingo.
These are the spiritual
Yep.
principalities and rulers of the unseen realm that you and I aren't battling ourselves right here.
Bingo.
It's Michael and... So wait, is it Gabriel that comes first, and then Michael comes and sets the
We don't
screen
know
for
the
him?
name. We know that Michael is named in the passage, and it's a fair conclusion that it was Gabriel, but we don't know.
So we don't know the angel that was dispatched and is speaking to
go
Daniel.
go get Michael.
Oh,
Go ahead and read the passage.
Because I think it's Michael that comes to help him. Okay.
Correct.
So the angel shows up on the scene, and he says, "Don't be afraid, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart on understanding this." So Daniel has been praying and asking God for
21 days total.
For 21 days for insight, for a vision that he was given to understand it. Okay, so you've done that. Your words were heard. So from the day you started praying, God heard you.
Right.
And I, this angel, have come in response to your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia was withstanding me for 21 days. Then behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me.
Right.
For I had been left there with the king of Persia. So now I'm here to explain the vision essentially. So anytime I talk about this, I'm like, yeah, Michael came and set a screen so that, basketball.
Fair. That's good.
He set a screen so that
Yeah.
Gabriel or whatever angel, I guess I shouldn't call him Gabriel since the text doesn't say that, but okay.
So let's start with a principle of general to specific.
Okay.
When the Abrahamic covenant is given,
Yes.
it's Abram and Sarai, and in Genesis 12, it's specific to Abram,
Sure.
and you'll be a blessing. In 15 and 17 and 19, the covenant is unfolded and explained more.
Okay.
And keeping that in mind, in Daniel chapter 10, we have the same thing. We've got this general layout of what's going to happen.
Okay.
Sometimes it's called a pedagogy, the way God teaches. And I think it's important in the book of Daniel. In Daniel 10:13, the second part of the verse, it says prince, referring to Michael in the second part. So the
One of the
first
chief princes.
part, the prince of Persia,
Yeah.
we're going to conclude that's a fallen angel.
Yeah.
All right. So these two angels are in some type of battle. One is opposing God's purpose.
Yeah.
So to Austin's question, why didn't God just answer right away? So in the spiritual realm, we
weird.
can't see.
Weird.
Something's going on.
Wacky.
Step back. Job,
Yeah.
God allows things to happen
Yeah.
that we don't like. Nothing about what happened to Job is a good thing. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible upon horrible.
Yeah.
And he loses everything. He has, sorry comforter friends.
Yeah.
And even though it's restored in the end, quote unquote, the trauma of that loss,
Yeah, he
God
lost his
allowed Satan.
Kids. He lost his family.
Well, children. He allowed, not the wife. He allowed Satan to do this. So there's an economy where God is. I use it pejoratively. He's still sovereign. He's never not been, but he's still sovereign in the situation. So the tension we feel is, why didn't God help him right away?
Yeah, because we immediately go to, okay, I'm praying for
A good thing.
aid from the Lord. I'm seeking God, and God heard it immediately. He dispatched the help, and it's blocked.
Right. Like somehow God didn't come through.
Right.
I looked up a quote from John Walvoord on this passage. I thought it was helpful. Although the entire subject of the unseen struggle between holy angels and fallen angels is not revealed clearly in Scripture, from rare glimpses we are afforded as this instance, it's plain that behind the political and social conditions of the world there is angelic influence, good on the part of holy angels, evil on the part of angels under satanic control. This is a struggle which Paul refers to in Ephesians chapter 6. And I thought that was a good, helpful picture.
Yeah.
And then, this is also a great time to talk about Tom Constable's notes.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, I thought if someone didn't have the patience to submit a question and ask, Tom Constable's notes, we've pushed it many, many times. They're free, PDF, Word, pull them on your phone, your tablet, whatever. And he had some very good insights that go to the second part of Austin's question about applications.
Yeah.
So what do I learn from this story
about
spiritual warfare? And this is one I learned in seminary from Robert Leitner, Dr. Leitner. He says, be careful when you give any attention to the fallen angels or Satan. Our position is spiritual steadfastness, not fighting.
Yeah.
And in these deliverance ministries and some of this other, progressive Christianity, warfare language, you'll hear this stuff creep in about praying against and all this kind of stuff.
We have to fight against.
Yeah, we don't fight against Satan. You're going to lose. And so in the unseen realm, because it's unseen, trust those in the unseen realm, not you.
Right.
And trust Christ and his plan, not your own imagination. Second, and I've alluded to it, there's no biblical basis to pray against a demon or pray a demon out.
What about all of the exorcisms in the Gospels?
Well, give me an injunction where it says you and I are to do that.
Yeah.
The injunctions are to stand firm, take on the full armor, resist. It doesn't say pray out.
Yeah.
And, if there was in the demoniac, for example, and they go into the swine.
Yep.
Jesus later tells them, or no, it was the boy in Mark 9 who presented like epilepsy, but it was a demon, and he tells the disciples, "This one can only come out with prayer and fasting."
Yep.
I'm not praying against a demon. I'm praying for Christ to help.
Interesting.
I have no power to pray out a demon.
Right. Right.
But I can pray if there truly is a demon possession, which that's a whole other rabbit trail. But to me, staying close to Christ is more important than dealing with demons.
Right.
That's the point. So Ephesians 6, stand firm.
Yeah.
That's the injunction. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, be of sober spirit. Be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. But resist him firm in faith, knowing that the same experiences, this is a cool passage, knowing that the same experiences of suffering are being accomplished by your brethren who are in the world.
Yeah.
So when we do hear of these other things that we could say, that's spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
What's the injunction? Be of sober spirit,
resist.
Be on the alert, stand firm, resist him.
Yeah.
And then finally, our prayers and can and should continue no matter the circumstance. So there's other passages about praying without losing heart. Mm-hmm. And when these things happen, let's just say you're a business deal or health of a child, or maybe the mental health of your child or your wife or your husband, and it seems like a spiritual warfare thing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. These principles don't change.
Right.
Stand firm, stay close to Christ. Don't pray the demon out. Don't worry about that. Trust Christ.
Yeah.
Lean on his word, the sword of the Spirit. You don't need to fight Satan.
Right.
You're going to lose.
Right. Right. So to go back a little bit about,
Please.
God has dispatched the help that Daniel has prayed for, but it's been blocked. Austin is my neighbor. So he came over and he's like, I need to understand more about, what does that mean? Like they literally blocked God's help. I think you kind of answered it. Just like God is still sovereign.
That's the best I can do. There's a spiritual warfare, principalities we can't see. They're fighting. Now, may or may not be a fan of Francis Peretti, but he wrote a book and he had this, this imaginary when Christians pray, the angels beat the demons. And when the Christians don't pray, the demons win. It's pure fiction, but illustrative of how we parse this.
Yeah.
I don't know what these principalities and world powers and dark forces. Interestingly, in my economy of friends for 20 plus years, when we've watched the country from when you were a child to where it is today, one in particular we talk often, he lives in D.C., I said the only answer I have is evil. You cannot explain these things apart from evil.
Yeah.
You look at the violence in our culture, the burning cities, the effigies, the assaults on innocent people. Those to me are motivated by evil.
Yeah. Principalities,
dark forces, spiritual. And I think that's real.
Yeah.
So I'm not minimizing that this happens, but to answer Austin's question, I don't know. Best I got is these forces are happening. It's like Walbert said, we're given a glimpse.
I know. And that's all we're given because I think we couldn't handle it if we knew. God pulled back the curtain and let us. I do not think we could handle it.
We couldn't. We couldn't. In our finite form.
Yeah.
And that's part of the glorified, resurrected body, which will be, the first nanosecond. Won't measure time, but the first instant we're in heaven, all these things are going to be resolved, and it'll be like, oh, it was so simple.
I don't know.
But it's a great question, Austin, and I applaud you for reading carefully the Bible. That's my main attaboy.
It's a great passage. All right, if you got a question for Dr. E, as you learned, if you call us and leave a voicemail, I'll kick you right to the top of the queue. But if you're too shy, you can text or email, and you'll just have to wait your turn.
And we have a lot of questions, don't we?
We do have a lot of questions.
But send them in anyway.
That's right. No, we do want them because we want to know what you guys are
We're
reading
looking for
and
good
thinking
ones.
about.
Yeah,
that's right.
good
So,
questions.
all right. We'll see you guys next week.